Let's talk some more about shapes. Last time we did a worksheet about shapes, we were putting more than one type of shape together to make a shape. Now we're going to, they call it decompose. Let's take these shapes apart to see what different shapes went in to make them, okay? Get out worksheet number 267, 268, that's what you're assigned to do today. Let's work on a few of these together. It says draw one line to decompose the shape into two other shapes. All right, so take it apart. But we're not really going to erase it or change it. We're just going to see with our eyes by doing one line, how could we make this into two other shapes? All right, draw one line to turn this rectangle into two squares. Okay, so we'll put a line right there, and that rectangle becomes two squares. How about this square? Draw one line to turn it into two rectangles. And there you go. There you have two rectangles. Now, number 3 says that they want you to turn it into two trapezoids. Now, that's a shape you don't say very often or use very often. But we can do one line to turn it into two trapezoids. Okay, isn't it fun to learn these different types of shapes, maybe even ones we're not used to thinking about or using? Okay, let's use one line to change this rectangle into two triangles. I like this one. One line, you have two triangles. Okay, so you're going to get to keep doing that, just adding a line and taking the shapes apart into two other shapes. I like that. I like the way that's training our brain to think about the shapes and how they work together to make new ones. Okay, on the back, they have shapes that they're asking you to write the name of. Okay, and so they say, here's a trapezoid, and they want you to write down what are the other shapes that are making it up. So you would write a square and a triangle. All right? And then they have a hexagon that they want you to make into two shapes. And they've already made it, but they want you to name the shapes. All right? So draw it. When you divide it in half, it becomes two pentagons. You can name both. Write down what they both are. All right, that's number 3. Dividing them in, and then they've drawn it and they've divided it, and they want you to be able to name what shapes are they using to make this. Okay, this is fun to play with. It could be fun to have paper maybe and make your own shapes, put them together. Sometimes that's a fun thing to do. I actually cut a bunch of paper apart and used it on the board just to talk about here's the different way that shapes can go together to make new shapes. Right? So those are the things you're going to do on page 267 and 268, learning about shapes. For history, we have concluded learning about the Revolutionary War. All of you have worked really hard. You did great on your final history quiz. And I want to read you a little bit from your history book. This is page 176 and 177. One more interesting person, or an interesting couple of people from early American history. John Adams is the heading. One of the men chosen to help form the Treaty of Paris was John Adams. You remember the Treaty of Paris? That's what Great Britain and America signed to officially say the war is over and America is no longer a colony. It can now form its own nation. John Adams was born in Massachusetts in 1735. He went to Harvard College. He was a lawyer and a thinker. He wanted to help the colonies become free of British rule. Adams married Abigail Smith. They had a very happy marriage. Abigail Adams helped her husband. He often asked her advice about decisions. Whenever they were apart, they wrote letters. These letters show us how much they loved and trusted each other, and they also show us what life was like during the time of the Revolutionary War. Adams had been a strong leader on the Patriot side all through the war. He helped choose George Washington to lead the army. He helped choose Thomas Jefferson to write the Declaration of Independence. He was one of the men who signed the Declaration. He was wise, and people trusted him. When the war was over, he again proved his skills as an American leader by his work on the peace treaty. John Adams became the second president of the United States. Many years later, his son, John Quincy Adams, became the sixth president. Adams and Jefferson were good friends. They died on the same day, July 4th, 1826. Exactly 50 years had passed since they led their country in adopting the Declaration of Independence. So that's very interesting. One of the ways we know a lot about John Adams and his wife are how many letters they wrote, and many of those letters people have now, and they can read and study and learn about that time in history as well as those people. So I thought that was an interesting little bit of information about some more people from early American history that we learned about in that chapter. Now, our final project in our history book for this chapter is for you to make this flag, the first American flag, right? It's different than the American flag now. Do you remember early on in our reading book, we read about Betsy Ross sewing the American flag? The American flag now has 50 stars on it, but this one has 13 for the 13 American colonies, the first ones. It also has 13 stripes. Okay, red and white. So we're going to make, your assignment is for you to make a flag. Okay, so, and how you're going to make it is up to you. In our book, it talks about you having painted popsicle sticks and poster board and all these different things. Well, I don't have those things in my house, and I don't think you have those things at your house. So we're going to be creative and flexible, and we're going to come up with creative solutions to still make this flag. Okay? We're going to be creative, but we're also going to still follow these guidelines. I got this picture. You can find a picture in your book, but I also got this picture off of your Chapter 9 review. It was at the top of that worksheet. So even though we're going to be creative, we're going to still try to follow, get 13 stripes, get 13 stars, have the colors be as bright as we can. I couldn't find any dark blue paper at my house, but I could find light blue. And I found red paper. So I thought for mine, I think I'm going to do some cutting and gluing to put my flag together. I have this white paper taped to the board, and then I've glued the blue on, and I'm going to glue the first stripe. How many red stripes are there? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So keeping my eye on this will help me make sure my flag can follow those same guidelines of 7 red stripes. Okay, so this doesn't have to be perfect, but I am trying to make it close, and I'm doing my best. But when things don't turn out perfect, we should keep going. We shouldn't give up on it. We should keep working and be willing to be flexible. You know, I was thinking this is a great project for our last thing, because a lot of what we've been doing now is figuring out how to make things work even when they're not what we're used to, right? We're used to getting up and going to school every day and being with our classmates and having all our art supplies in our classroom. And it's been different to get used to being at home a lot and only seeing our friends on the computer screen or for a phone call. But I appreciate how much everyone has worked hard, and you've been flexible and creative, and we've learned so much together. I'm really proud of you. So I still have more stripes to add on, but I also need to decide how I'm going to do my stars. Now, I have white paint, so I might paint them, but I also have white paper. I drew some stars on the white paper, and then I folded it. I thought I might also try cutting out the stars, but I would try cutting more than one at a time, since stars can be a little bit tricky, and then maybe just gluing. I think it would be so fun if I had star stickers, which I have in our classroom at school, but I don't have at home. But so maybe you have them though. If you have star stickers at your house, you could put star stickers. You could draw all of this with markers or with crayons. You can paint it if you have watercolor or something like that, and that's what you would prefer. Here's some tiny stars. Let's see how they look if we glue them on. Put a little touch of glue. Put a star up there. Oh, no, it's too small. There. There's one. It's kind of hard to see on the light blue. Maybe I'll keep doing this with paper stars and glue them on. And then I'll just want to make it a circle like we have up here. So I'm going to finish mine. I'll bring it to class on Tuesday. You guys can finish yours and we can show each other when we are in our class on Tuesday. But I want you to finish making this flag, and I'm proud of all your hard work. I hope you enjoyed hearing the last bit about John and Abigail Adams, and I look forward to seeing what you decide. If you're going to paint or use colored paper, markers, crayons, just make sure you follow the pattern, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with.